Welcome to Gold Derby. I am Senior Editor Marcus James Dixon here with my colleague Rob Licuria, and we are here today to talk to Lu Richardson from the White Lotus Season 2. And Haley, first question we are dying to know, because we're huge awards nerds. What was the SAG Awards like when you not only presented, but you got up on the stage as the winner of the Best Ensemble for a Drama Series?
Yeah, well, I guess I wasn't the winner. I was one of the many winners in our ensemble. But I've never actually won an award before, aside from at a dance competition when I was 12. So I haven't been to a ton, but I've been to a handful of these award shows. And I always just know I've only been nominated for something a couple times or been a part of something that was nominated. And it hasn't been the thing predicted to win, or there was kind of no chance for me really. So I've never showed up to an award show being like, hey, we could actually take home a SAG award tonight. So it was definitely crazy. I just was just up on the stage. I was holding this heavy thing. I was like, this is what it feels like to be a winner. This is what it feels like. I may never feel it again. So yeah, it was pretty neat.
I can imagine. And then, White Lotus 1 was this huge phenomenon. And then, of course, Mike White decides, let's do another season. And they decide to shoot in Sicily. You get a role in it. You know it's going to be a big thing. And you're shooting in Sicily, by the way, my parents' hometown, Taormina. And I'm just curious, though, yeah. And it really did it justice, by the way. What was going through your mind when you're like, okay, this is going to be a big thing for me personally and creatively? It's exciting.
Well, again, I was just same kind of with the winning an award thing. I can't remember the last time I've actually auditioned for a project that I really wanted and thrown myself at it and then gotten it. The last couple years of my career have just been things that have aligned, or a meeting or something I was offered that I ended up doing. The times when I audition for something, I just know in the back of my head, there's no way I'm going to be the one that they pick at the end of this. It's just the way the world works. But yeah, I auditioned for this show. I've been dreaming of working with Mike for years. I literally wrote him a love letter. Actually, the year before the first White Lotus happened, I just he was someone that I just loved so much. So then and wanted to work with. So I wrote him a love letter trying to get his attention. but yeah, maybe it worked. Actually, I don't know if he ever even got that letter, because I forget if he responded. Oh, what happened was I wrote him a letter, and it was over the pandemic, but we couldn't track down his address of how it would actually get to him. I think he was traveling, or we didn't know where he was. My agents couldn't figure out what his address was. So I ended up transcribing the letter into email format and emailing it to him. And I don't know if he ever got it, but yeah, so it was just this big kind of dream that felt unattainable at the end of the day. And then when I actually got the call that Mike was hiring me, I was like, huh? What? It just didn't feel, I forgot what that had felt like to audition for something and then be the pick.
Yeah. And your character is Portia, who is, of course, is the assistant to Jennifer Coolidge, the great Jennifer Coolidge. And the first time we see you, you're on the boat and you're kind of in your little area and you're waving at her. Was that the first scene you filmed, or sometimes they film out of order?
No.
What was your first day like on set?
We were beyond out of order. We were all over the place. We filmed all 7 episodes out of order. And scenes, my first day of work on the show, I was in every scene of that day. And I think I was filming scenes from 5 different episodes on my first day of work. And 2 of the scenes were kissing scenes, one with Adam and one with Leo. On my first day of work. So
Wow.
And that's why we won the SAG award.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
lots of kissing.
That's the reason.
It's all about that.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, that is overwhelming. And to also just juggle, like, I think we all had to, like, from Mike and the crew's perspective, and then from every actor, and just all these stories intertwining. Like, I think we had, like, it was a lot to keep track of the arc and, like, remember in every scene and every moment kind of where we were at and what was important. There was a burp. There was one of them. I knew one would sneak out.
That's fascinating to me, because Marcus and I were talking a while ago about, you know, this season, and particularly your character's trajectory. And throughout the episodes, Portia is sardonic, and she's a little bit like, you know, what am I doing here? And she's a bit annoyed. Then she has, you know, the romance stuff. But in the last episode, which I rewatched on the plane the other day, you do a real shift, because she realizes things are up, things are bad, and then on the phone, you know, with Tanya about, you know, this, we're in danger. So you have to do a complete shift in terms of your tone, in terms of the way that you're performing and portraying her. How was that like for you to be able to mix that up, particularly given that the show was shot so out of order?
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of become, Portia and Tanya's storylines kind of become like a thriller horror genre type energy. But I didn't really feel that, like, it was a total, like, tonal shift or something, or like I had to necessarily do anything different, because no matter what the tone of the project is, like, the writing is so strong that, like, all I really had to do was, like, wholeheartedly believe everything that I was saying and feeling in all of these scenes, and then it would just come across pitiful or ironic or funny or annoying or scared, you know what I mean? Like, it would just come across in kind of those different, hopefully in those the ways that they were meant to. If I just, like, if you just wholeheartedly every scene, every moment commit to the writing and where the character's at. So, like, there were days even before, like, scenes earlier on in the episodes before it really gets creepy and dire, where Portia is already kind of in a dire place. Like, she's so desperate and unfulfilled and disappointed and stuck and sad and pitiful, that it, like, that even though the tone of the whole show was bigger than that and was different than that and kind of lighter and funnier, more ironic, more satirical, whatever, like, if I just committed to what Portia was feeling and going through in that moment, then everyone else, the way it looks, the writing of the other characters, how it's edited, all of that, like, concoction put into one makes those scenes ironic or satirical in some way, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to make those scenes anything different than what they were, if that makes sense. Am I babbling?
I'm curious, were you rooting for Portia and Albie, or were you rooting for Portia and Jack? I feel like the audience was on the side of Portia and Albie getting together. Jack was maybe more of, like, the bad boy. What was your take on those two relationships?
Yeah, I've been asked this before, and I think that if Portia was my friend, which I guess with time away from the show, I feel less close to her, so I can kind of look at her from a more outside perspective. Like, I feel like what she really could use in her life at that point is, like, some alone time and, like, a therapist, and, like, looking inward and focusing on what her passions are or what she wants, like what specifically she wants, because she's saying, like, life isn't presenting anything to me, but she doesn't even know what to ask for or which direction to go in. She's not connected. She's so stuck and she's so in her own way. So, like, I really just think she needs to connect to herself and get to know herself and maybe date herself for a bit.
Yeah, it's a good point. I like that. You know, when the show ends, we don't really know whether Portia knows what happened to her boss. And we know, I mean, it's left up in the air, and I have a feeling that she probably does have a pretty good idea, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are on what you think Portia, whether she knows, and how she would have processed Tanya's death and you know, her demise after everything she's been through with her former boss.
Well, in my mind, she knows, and she finds out, she like is convinced that something awful has happened to Tanya. But like before she gets to the airport, which is why she's like trying to be incognito in her amazing outfit, her amazing disguise. But I think she finds, like, in my mind, when she's talking to Albie in the final scene, and Albie's like, did you hear, like, a guest was found drowned in the ocean? And Portia just like is just kind of like like she can't even process, but she realizes in that moment that's Tanya. Like, Tanya's dead, or someone, it's Tanya and those guys on the boat. Something happened and they're who are dead. So I think that she does put two and two together then in that moment, but like that response in that moment and the way it was written is so funny to me, because it's like, because of where Portia's at, she cannot process, like she can't even feel, like it's just so funny. That whole scene is really funny to me.
Yeah.
They've both, Albie and Portia, have been through so much, and they just, like, the conversation they have and what they choose, the words they choose to say to each other are just so funny.
One of the first scenes of the show is where Tanya tells you, get lost, because Greg is basically.
Great impression. That was a great
I
impression.
know, right?
Oh,
wow.
thanks. I have not been practicing that at all. Just kidding. But now that we know what happens at the end, with Greg possibly being involved, or likely being involved in Tanya's, murder, is he saying to Tanya to have you get lost because he doesn't want any witnesses around? Like, he wants as few people around as possible that know maybe what's going on.
I would think so, yeah. And like, he had all this plan with the gays of like, they're gonna whisk her away, and then and it's like, now what are we gonna do with this random other girl here? Like, what are we gonna kill her too? That's like another person we have to figure out. So yeah, that's what I had thought.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack was there to keep her away because he has to do his job. He admits that in the car in Catania. So it's such a conspiracy, which is why I'm really manifesting Mike White. If you're listening, he probably isn't, but if he is, can we get a season in future where Albie and Portia come after Greg? Because I would be so into that. What do you think?
Oh my God, I think Albie and Portia should just, like, they both have so much pent up energy to like get back at the world. I feel like, so maybe they become like, go to spy school, and they become like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yep.
And they go and they like avenge Tanya, and like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they become just like really hot spies, a spy couple.
I'm telling you, that's going to win another SAG award for you.
I think so. I think if I have another chance at an award, I think it might be that.
It's that.
And my final question for you would be, your chemistry with Jennifer Coolidge was so great. How would you describe the actress Jennifer in 1 or 2 words?
Fascinating. And well, I guess one of a kind. Just make it the second.
I'll allow it.
Truly one of a kind.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's having a real moment, and I hope it continues for her. That
no, she really deserves it. She I just love when people can be just so much their thing that makes them unique, and just like bring that light to all these characters in this just genius, just specific, authentic, like, I just love that. It's so rare when you see a character and you're like, nobody else could do that. Nobody else could play Tanya, the Jennifer Coolidge Tanya. No one could do that. Like, there's certain characters I watch great performances. I'm like, that person is a great actor. But I can think of like 5 to 10 other actors who could do a similar moving performance and it could feel similar. Jennifer no one else could do what she did, you know? So that's a lot more words than 2. But she's deserving of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we just want to thank you so much for your time today, Haley. Congratulations on season 2 of White Lotus. I'm looking forward to seeing you perhaps maybe on that Emmy red carpet, but otherwise we're just going to keep our eye out for more from you, and hopefully that spy show will come up soon, because I'm totally going to be all over it.
Yeah, I'll be in Portia, the spy movie. Yeah. The spin-off no one knew they needed.
But here it is.
Nobody wanted, but we'll make it. No, but yeah, thanks for talking to me today. You guys are nice.
Thanks a lot.